So tell me a little bit, how do you connect with others? Do you find it difficult to connect with other people? Now, you've heard emotional intelligence. There's also something called relational intelligence. But when people think about relational intelligence, they think about the ability to connect with others, which is true. But if I'm going to be able to connect with someone else, I've got to first develop the capacity and capability to think outside of myself. So I like to think about, or like you to think about relational intelligence from a place where, how do I think beyond me, myself, and I, so that will help me connect with another person? Because that's relational intelligence. When we think about ourselves, we are a human being. So the way we function is we think a lot about, how does this make me feel? How did this affect me? What is this doing to me? And it's great now that psychology talks all about becoming self-aware, except that we become so self-aware that we've stayed in that place of being so aware of ourselves that we've also pulled away from actually connecting with people. Because this is what you call self-preservation. When I become hurt by what's happened to me or become aware of what's been done to me, all I want to do is actually pull away and sort of guard myself from ever getting hurt and disappointed again. So self-preservation limits us from actually connecting with people. We don't realize this. We go through life and it's almost unconscious. What happens is we look for these confirmations in our lives like, oh, this happened and she did this to me because of that and that happened to me because of this. So I'm always looking for these confirmations to confirm that, you know what, the world is against me. And so when I conclude that the world is against me, guess what? I'm going to just pull away. I'm going to stay in my own corner. I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm in isolation. And bit by bit, that chips away our ability from actually connecting with people. So no matter how much of strategy or formula or everything that I try to figure out in my mind and read all these great resources to try to connect with people, I can show up but never really be connected. So I can know many people but still feel lonely. How do I go beyond just thinking about myself and then being able to connect with someone else now? You know, that's a great question, and this is how we can do it. First and foremost, one of the greatest things that we can learn moving through our adult relationships is to quickly depersonalize issues and struggles and conflict. Very often we take things very personally because we filter what's happening to us based on how we were raised and the experiences that we have gone through and how life has how we've moved through life and how we have actually formed our own beliefs about life and conflict and disappointments. So rather than actually opinionating or forming a belief about a situation or a circumstance or a relationship with this person, quickly depersonalize it. How do you do that? This is not about me. This is about the other person. Let's try to figure out what's going on here. That's a quick way to try to be able to connect with someone whom we are finding it difficult to. But if it's not a conflict, or if it's not anything where it's a struggle in that relationship, what we can learn to do in bridging trust is learning how to ask the questions. So one of the things that people struggle with in just connecting with others is like, how do I learn to trust someone? How do I learn to connect? Okay, just be yourself and learn to ask questions. What do you do? And when we ask questions and then someone responds back to us, one of the good things that we can learn to do is to mirror it back. So to mirror it back to say, oh, so you actually came from this place. Oh, I've never been there. I would love to travel there. Tell me a little bit more about that place. Now you just started conversation. What's happening here is, apart from asking the question and listening and asking with curiosity, is we're learning to stay open. Openness is the key part in helping us actually connect ourselves to another person. And when we are able to listen to other people tell their stories, that also helps them connect with us. That's relational intelligence. And that's how we can actually be able to find connections, stay in connections, navigate through difficult conflict or difficult situations, learn how to collaborate because we're listening, we're asking the questions, we're staying open, and we're not taking our matters too seriously. How do you actually get all this energy to try to connect with someone else? So let's say I'm an introvert and I'm not really like all excited to get connected with people, right? So here's what we can do. Now, the energy that we get, the motivation that we get to connect with people comes from actually staying in connection. So let me explain this. The reason why we lose motivation or we feel demotivated, or people sometimes we call it being shy. Like I'm a shy person. I can't really connect with people. We give ourselves all these labels. It's our way of self-preserving and pulling ourselves away. Without realizing that actually diminishes our energy, diminishes our motivation from getting connected with people. So when we can change the way we think first and foremost, that our energy is fueled through connections, we actually find ourselves, we get more motivated, we may get more excited, we have this burst of vitality and excitement and adventure for life by staying in connection. So how do I get it started? At first, obviously, like going to the gym, if you've never exercised before, is going to be quite hard to do, right? So let's start with that. I mean, don't go with your emotions, don't go with your feelings, go with your choice. Make a decision. I'm going to choose today, regardless of how I feel, what's going through my mind, to actually step out and start to make connections. So let's ask someone out for coffee. And I'm going to learn how to just stay open, ask the questions, get connected by listening and mirroring. And as I keep doing that, like I keep staying in the gym and working out, I finally realize I'm actually building some kind of muscle. The same way, the more I stay in a relationship or stay connected to people, I'm also building a relational muscle. And that's going to gain momentum over time.